change for the school. So we have changed learning modalities, and we already have employed synchronous and asynchronous learning modalities. And not only that, there are also changes in the curriculum, the learning competencies that we have in school, and especially the changes that we have for the community and for our nation. So, Alfred Lord Whitehead said that the art of progress is to preserve order amid change and to preserve change amid order. So, we as school leaders should be able to manage change in our own schools and also community. So, what is change management? So, we've been talking about change and how do we manage change. So, this is complementary to leadership of change. Okay, and together with leadership, it's necessary for effective and sustainable change. So, whenever there are changes that we have in school, it has to be sustainable. And many studies and surveys show examples of how change management affect our school system and that it has to be improved. Okay, so what to improve in change management? So our concept of change is inevitable. So this is the thing that remains constant. Also, our commitment to change. Even if sometimes leaders would tell that there would be changes, if the rank and file will not follow, it becomes useless. So there must also be improvement on the way we communicate. Now, we're communicating virtually. There is this interconnectedness. And we think that these times had provided us to be connected with one another, with great speakers, with great academicians. Okay. Also, we want to improve change management in the organization, in our direction, in the implementation of policies, also in consuming resources. And it's also about grounded in culture and our leadership practices. Okay, so the three C's in effective change leadership would be number one is communication. So if we want to become successful leaders, we have to really communicate well. And we must be able to put across the meaning of what behind the change. Why are we changing? And then we collaborate. Okay. Maybe this is the reason why we are here, because we want to collaborate with one another. Bring people together to plan and execute change is critical. And also our commitment. Successful leaders made sure that their own beliefs and behaviors support change too. So these are the three C's in effective change leadership. Number one is communication. Number two, collaboration and commitment. So the role of managers in change process. So what would be the role of managers in change process? So number one is that leaders and managers should make things happen. We make it happen. And to effectively implement change, managers need training and development. So we need to attend a lot of trainings and programs in order for us to keep abreast with the changes locally and globally. Okay. Now there are key aspects of managing change. Okay, so what is the purpose? Why we change? Okay, why do we have some changes? So we need to communicate well to the school officials, to our stakeholders, our external environment, also the internal environment. And number two would be our responsibility and willingness to adopt change. We've been talking about changes a while ago, but are we responsible for our actions? Are we also willing to change? And of course, in change management, we have to use appropriate theories. We have to look into our structure and the process elements and some political considerations. Okay, so another thing that we must inculcate in our minds in managing change is also managing our emotions and politics. Okay, so Why is it very important for us to manage our emotions? Because sometimes, because of our comfort zones, we don't want to change. Then therefore, we have to identify political landscape. Who are the persons initiating change? Identify the key influencers. Also assess influencers' receptiveness to change. Not all people would like to change. And I think it is also very important that we engage positive and negative skeptics. Okay, so this is an appropriate theory that we employ in managing change. This is what I call the dynamic capability theory because it addresses strategy. It is the ability to create, extend, or modify resources based to respond to a rapidly changing environment. It is process coordination, which means that it has processes, which means that we could look into proper coordination and learning and strategic competitive response. And of course, we look into dynamic capabilities. Okay? And it is also very important that we look into this what we call distributed leadership because it is concerned with practice rather than its root causes. So it builds the capacity for change and improvement. Okay. So this is the leadership model in the new normal. Okay, I was referring to distributed leadership, shared leadership for digital leadership, collaboration, and dynamic distributed leadership. So change entails risks, and risk entails mistakes. So whenever we want to implement change, there are errors, there are mistakes, and there are failures. We must be able to embrace this. But punishing those who commit errors would be a problem. Okay? And therefore, so what we need to do is to welcome change, welcome risks, and we also welcome mistakes. And remember also that we should not create a blaming environment. And therefore, create a blame-free environment or blame-free learning culture, which is necessary for successful and sustainable change. Okay, so yeah, we also have to look into the ethical aspects in managing change. Okay, we look into the goals of change, the intentions, the processes, the access of change, the outcomes, and consequences. So, in managing change, according to Jim Hodden 2020, we have to prepare ourselves tomorrow to become successful today. Okay, and these are the four steps. No? Number one is take a gut check on the organizational purpose. Be prepared to call it audible. Another is engage your people by empowering them to be opportunity scouts and embrace new starting line. So I'd like to highlight the characteristic of leaders, managers of change in the new normal. We have to be agile. Okay, so there must be agility, resilience, and adaptivity. So these are the characteristics of leaders and what leaders' activities are required for crisis leadership during COVID-19, what leaders need to do for the transition to remote working during post-COVID-19, what leader intelligences are required for disrupted times, the redefined leader competencies for digital age, and the four leadership personas for the fourth industrial revolution. So I'd like to say thank you to each and everyone. I'd like to conclude my presentation by highlighting this one. We will not go back to normal anymore. So we are just being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. So thank you very much. And I hope that you have learned something about managing and leading change in the new normal. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mario, for the wonderful presentation. You actually started with a metaphor for new normal, but you explained how to create a better new normal. So it was more about a better normal. What I liked about this presentation was your three C's, which was communication, collaboration, and commitment. Because even if you learn these, you actually become a leader. So you can lead at least your life, and others follow eventually. So thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. We move
Thank
on
you.
to our next speaker. Yeah.
Thank you.
We move on to our next speaker, Dr. Vilma Deluz Barbosa, who is the co-founder of the Global University Brazil. Do we have you, Dr. Vilma?
Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. Dr. Haja, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the fifth goal. I'm going to talk a little bit then how to empower women nowadays. So, what can we do to empower women? First of all, we could place women as leaders and give them decision-making roles. Although many women are now powerful, look at Dr. Professor Caroline, Dr. Nada, Dr. Parisomani, and so many others, Malala and Greta, and all many others. But despite of them, gender equality is still a myth in great part of the world. Women have actively started participating in tech industry, food production, natural resource management, and other things. But nowadays, we still don't have them in many other parts. Most women still don't have access to good job opportunities and resources to get a better job, a better paid job. As the focus shifts towards includes economic structures, providing women with leadership opportunities and making them a part of decisions, making it's still a long way in achieving women's empowerment. So we can give them more job opportunities. Despite being significant contributors to social and financial development, women don't have access to equal job opportunities. Equal rights programs can invest significantly in promoting decent jobs and public policies, advocating growth and development. We can also invest in women's entrepreneurial ideas, emotionally and financially. An effective way of tackling gender inequality is entrusting women with entrepreneurial work. The state can take initiatives to train women in business skills for better job opportunities. Looking at global developments, many developing countries are spending percentage of the annual revenues in women's developments by investing in women's education and providing them with entrepreneurial opportunities. The equal pay gap can be ruled out of the socioeconomic scene. So, encouraging women to increase their participation to the supply chain. We can also take an action against unpaid labor work because most women don't receive a penny to work. For example, they are houseworks, they are working in rural areas, and they don't receive for that because they are not, they don't have the opportunity to study. So, what can we do to empower women? I want to help women to believe in themselves, believe they are able to do anything they want through education. Education is the key. According to our laws here in Brazil, men and women are all the same. But of course, it's not like that. If you are in a company, if you are a girl and you are in a company competing with a guy for a job, of course, the vacancy will be for the guy because they won't want to pay for the girl to stay at home if she gets pregnant. So they will give the boy the vacancy for sure. And then the girl won't have the job just because she's a girl, just because she will get pregnant someday. Yeah, that happens here in Brazil, and I'm sure all around the world. And what can we do? We can empower women through education. because through education, we can conquer anything. We can have our dream job. We can get to know the world. We can be the owner of our lives. Anyone can help girls, just motivating and showing them they are important. They are the reason we are here. Because of a woman, all boys are born. So we have to give them the power to believe in themselves. What can we do? First of all, we have to show the girls they are able to do anything they want. If they really want to, they just have to believe in themselves. Second, we can inspire them to study because studying really hard, they can just knowledge can bring a chance for better life. Just education can bring a chance for better life. So anyone who are not rich, if you have education, you can study really hard. And if you are not rich, you have the chance to go anywhere you want. So this is something that we have to do. We have to empower girls to study, and then they have the chance to be better. Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you so much, Dr. Vilma. That was a wonderful presentation. And I think all three speakers have almost spoken about the same thing, is equality and education. So these are very essential things. We all agree. And we look forward to working on achieving these goals. With that, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. And we move on to our next speaker, who is Dr. Daryl David, who is from Philippines and International Youth Ambassador. So I welcome you on board.
Thank you so much, Madam. So before I will proceed to the presentation given to me by the organization, allow me to greet everybody, especially my fellow speakers in this international webinar, especially my fellow speakers in the Philippines, Dr. Lucero, Dr. Chris Sita. Namaste to everyone, especially in the Indian government. Thank you so much. So allow me to share my screen if you allow me, Madam.
Yeah, you're the co-host now. You can share the screen.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mama, is my screen?
Yes, it's visible. Yes.
Yes, Ma'am. Thanks so much. So, okay, so the task given to me is about quality education, one of the concern nowadays in the global society. Okay, so I am from the Philippines. I am working at the Department of Education as one of the nursery teachers in the in our school, Angla City National High School. So let's proceed. Okay. In all aspects of the school and its surrounding education community, the rights of the whole child and all the children to survival, protection, development, and participations are at the center. This means that the focus is on learning. So remember, one of the greatest assets that we have in our society are the children, are the students. That's why we should give them the focus to learn in the education, which strengthens the capacities of children to act progressively on their own behalf through the acquisitions of relevant knowledge, useful skills, and appropriate attitudes, which creates for children and helps them create for themselves and other places of safety, security, and healthy interaction. Okay, so the first idea here is about relevant knowledge. So of course, when we provide the quality education among our learners or among our students nowadays, it must be relevant for them to use specifically in the real life situation. And another one is the useful skills. Okay, so meaning to say, were they able to use this one upon getting a diploma or upon graduating from the college or from the university? And of course, the third one is building the appropriate attitude. Nowadays, our students or our learners nowadays, they are losing the right attitude, the right character. That's why we have to build and form the right character, the right attitudes among our learners. And then create a children and helps them create for themselves and other places of safety, security, and healthy interaction. Okay, next. Okay, what are the essential ingredients for a successful educational system? When we say essential, we talk about the ingredients actually. Okay, for having a successful educational system in every government or in every society. Okay, of course, at the center we have here the quality education. So how are we going to achieve or have a quality education? Of course, you have to consider first the environment. Is the environment conducive for the learners, for them to learn? Okay, and then the next one, we have the learner. Of course, nowadays, we are bombarded or we are confronted with diverse learners with different cultural background. So you have to consider this one in order for you to provide quality education among our learners. And then, of course, the outcomes. Okay. So when we say outcomes, this is the product, this is the output, okay? Of course, when we give quality education, we produce quality graduates, we produce quality students, and then the process, okay? How are we going to provide quality education among our students? And then of course, the content, the curriculum, the process on how are you going to provide it? And then next. Okay, so these are the parameters, no, on how are we going to have a quality learner or quality students. Of course, number one, you have to consider their health condition. Okay, remember, you cannot teach students if they are unhealthy, if they are malnourished. Okay, so the government should do something about it. The government should do something, especially in the public sector, in the public school. Okay, you have to make sure that the students or learners are healthy so that they could able to absorb the things that they have to learn in the school. So, and then the next one, they should be well nourished. Are the students are ready to learn? Okay. And then the next one, are the students ready to participate? So remember, of course, if the students are not yet ready to participate in the four corners of the classroom, or having to participate in the discussion or in the class, okay, it's useless. Next one. The last one, of course, it must be supported in learning by their families and communities. In short, it takes a village to educate a child. Okay, it needs support of the family and the community as a whole. Next. Okay. So the elements that go into making quality of learner includes the following. Of course, the one is physically healthy children. Okay, of course, if you are unhealthy, how could you manage to participate? How could the children or the students could manage to participate attending the school? Next one is healthy development in early childhood. Of course, development in early childhood is the best foundation for the students to learn. Okay, so it plays an important role in providing the basis for healthy life and a successful formal school experience. Next, as I have said, we should have the adequate nutrition, which is critical for a normal brain development in the early years, and early detection for disabilities can give the children the best chances for healthy development. Okay, of course, unhealthy stomach could not absorb any information. Moving on. Okay. Next one is positive early experiences and interactions are also vital to preparing a quality learner. A children or student should expose as much as possible or as early as possible. The students should be exposed to interact. No? allow them to play with their playmates, with their schoolmates. Okay, so that's why early child development is very important. Next, a child who misses positive stimulation or subject to chronic stress in the preschool years may have difficulty with psychosocial development later in life. This is very true. Okay, a student or a children who are exposed to chronic stress in the preschool years may have difficulty with the development. Okay, moving on. When they reach school age, research demonstrate that to achieve academically, children must attend consistently. So there must be no gap in attending their schooling from from kinder up to grade 12, and eventually when they enter college, there should be no gap. Next, a child exposure to curriculum is an opportunity to learn significantly influences achievement, and exposure to curriculum comes from being in school. This is very true as well. Next, although many constraints exist, schools can play a role in helping parents to enhance and improve quality of parental involvement in the children's education. So this one, it simply means that there must be a strong partnership with the parents and as well as the teacher to actually monitor the development or the progress of the child in the school. It is not just only the sole responsibility of the teacher to conduct or to monitor the child. It's likewise the responsibility of the parent as well. Next, strategies include asking parents to participate in assessment of their child progress, offering a clear, regular, non-threatening communication. So the key here is communication with the parents, especially in this time of the pandemic. Okay, in our case in the Philippines, we do not yet monitor or to help monitor their child progress. Okay.
I think we have lost the connection.
Yes, let me resume, ma'am. We have low internet connection here. Okay. So allow me to continue if you don't mind, ma'am.
Yeah,
Is-
please.
Okay. Okay, so when do we say that the environment is healthy for the student? Okay, if it is, of course, if it is healthy, okay, the school should be child-friendly. The second one, is it safe? Is it free from chaos? Is it free from trouble? Is it free from riots among their fellow learners or fellow students? Is it protective? The school administrator should see to it this parameter to make the environment quality among our learners. Next, does it provide adequate resources and facilities? Physical facilities is very much important. Of course, facilities could provide an avenue for our learners or for our students to learn properly. Next. Okay, quality learning environments are made of course, we have here the physical elements, okay, the service delivery and the psychosocial elements. So let us discuss one by one. Okay, the physical elements, the quality of school policies. Physical learning environments for the places in which formal learning occurs range from relatively modern and well-equipped buildings to an open, air gathering places. The quality of school facilities seems to have an indirect effect on learning, an effect that is hard to measure. This is very true, no? And then schools which lack classroom materials, adequate library, and good working students and teachers all have an impact on learning. Next, psychosocial health elements. So is the environment peaceful, safe, especially among our girls, or among the female students is the teacher's behavior that affects safety. Next, relative to both girls and boys, parents, educators, and researchers. So this we are talking about the internal and external stakeholders of the school that create an unsafe environment for students. And then the fourth one, lack of discipline, violence of teachers towards students affect the quality of environment, since learning cannot take place when the basic needs for surrounding protections are threatened. Okay? Next, service delivery. Provisions of health services, the basic health services and education can contribute to learning in the absenteeisms and inattention. So the school should have also the health facilities, in order to address the need of our students, especially the medical attention or the dental attention. Okay, the provisions of extracurricular activities and the provisions of school snacks are other examples of service provision that contribute to quality school environment. Okay, so in our school we provide service delivery among our learners, especially in the elementary. We have free meals among our learners. Okay, so quality content refers to the intended and taught curriculum of schools, the national goals for education and outcome statement that translate those goals into measurable objectives, should provide the starting point for the development and the implementation of curriculum. So the emphasis here, the national goals for education and the outcome statement of the national government. So meaning to say there must be a support from the national government, through which trained teachers use child center. Okay, so we all know for a fact that when we are teaching or when we are in the academy, it must be a child center, student centered. We teachers should not or should act only as a facilitator of learning. Okay, in a well-managed classroom and schools and skillful assessment to facilitate learning. Okay. Next, teacher believes that all students can learn. Quality education puts students at the center of the process. So student achievement must be the school's priority. This is very true, especially in our case, in our country. Student achievement is one of the parameters in the school performance indicator. Okay. Next, teachers should give frequent and challenging assignment, monitor their performance regularly, and give the student the chance to participate in and take responsibility for diverse school activities. So the word here is challenging. Okay. So give our student a challenging task for performance. Of course, you have to monitor them. It doesn't necessarily mean when you give it, you just allow it to do it. Allow them to do it. Of course, you have to monitor it as the teacher. Okay. Next. Okay. Teachers working, this is teacher, okay? Teachers working conditions affect their ability to provide quality education. Okay, that's why we teachers should equip ourselves professionally. We have to enroll ourselves in the graduate school program for us to equip ourselves professionally. Remember, we cannot give what we do not have. Many aspects of school life and educational policy go into teachers' perception